Stop for just a moment, because what you are about to hear may reveal something rare about the way people age. Most seniors grow older in body, but only a few continue growing in spirit. Most gather years, stories, disappointments, habits, and opinions, yet somewhere along the way they stop examining themselves. They stop asking what life is still trying to teach them. They stop noticing how bitterness enters quietly, how pride hardens slowly, how fear disguises itself as wisdom, and how the soul can become old long before the body reaches its final season. But there are a few seniors, perhaps only 1 in 100, who still do something extraordinary. They continue to train their own mind. They do not merely survive old age. They study it. They learn from it. They use it as a final classroom where ego is softened, peace is protected, and wisdom becomes more than memory. These may impress the world, but they do not always reveal inner strength. The rare senior is not rare because life has been easy. In fact, many of the wisest elders have endured more than they speak about. They have lost loved ones, buried dreams, made mistakes, forgiven what seemed unforgivable, watched friendships fade, seen families change, and felt the strange silence that comes when the world no longer asks for their voice as often as it once did. Yet they do not let these experiences turn them into a museum of resentment. They keep learning. They keep adjusting. They keep asking, what is still within my control? That question is the beginning of Stoic power. What is still within my control? Not my age. Not the past. Not the opinions of my children. Not the speed of the world. Not the people who left, misunderstood, used, ignored, or disappointed me. Not the body that changes despite my wishes. Not the years already spent. But my response is still mine. My attention is still mine. My character is still mine. My morning thoughts are still mine. My words, my silences, my boundaries, my gratitude, my willingness to keep growing, these still belong to me. Only 1 in 100 seniors remember this deeply enough to live by it every day. Many people grow old and begin collecting complaints. They complain about the young, the world, their body, their family, their neighbors, the government, the price of everything, the past that disappeared, and the future that feels unfamiliar. Some complaints may be true. The world does change. People can become careless. Life can become harder. But complaint, if repeated long enough, becomes a home. A person can begin living inside it. Every conversation becomes another room in that house. Every memory becomes evidence. Every disappointment becomes proof. And slowly, the person no longer sees life as it is. They see only what confirms the bitterness they have been feeding. The rare senior feels pain, but does not worship it. They may say, yes, this hurt me. Yes, I was treated unfairly. Yes, I miss what was lost. But they do not place their pain on a throne and spend the rest of life serving it. They understand that suffering is real, but identity must not be built entirely around suffering. They know that every morning offers a quiet decision. Will I rehearse the injury again, or will I practice freedom? Will I become a person who only remembers what was taken, or will I also notice what remains? This is not denial. It is discipline. It is the difference between carrying a scar and reopening the wound each day to prove it was real. Only 1 in 100 seniors still examine their own thoughts instead of believing every thought immediately. This is powerful because the mind in old age can become crowded with old voices. A voice says, nobody needs me now. Another says, I am too late. Another says, my family does not care. Another says, I should have done everything differently. Another says, there is no point in starting anything new. If these thoughts arrive unchallenged, they begin to rule the inner house. But the rare senior pauses. They ask, is this thought true, or is it only tired? Is this wisdom, or is it fear speaking with wrinkles? Is this memory guiding me, or is it regret trying to punish me again? This kind of self-questioning is rare because it requires humility. Many people become more certain as they age, not more curious. They think because they have lived long, they have nothing left to learn about themselves. But experience alone does not create wisdom. Some people repeat the same pain for 80 years and call it knowledge. Wisdom begins when experience is examined. The rare senior does not say, "This is just how I am." They say, "Is this who I still choose to be?" That one question can save the final chapters of life from becoming a prison built out of old reactions. Think about how many people carry anger for decades. A sibling said something years ago. A child married someone they did not approve of. A friend betrayed them. A business failed. A spouse disappointed them. A neighbor offended them. These things may have mattered. They may still matter. But the rare senior understands that time does not automatically heal what the mind keeps feeding. They begin to see resentment as a debt they are paying for someone else's mistake. Every time they replay the event, they spend another piece of their remaining life. And at some point they ask, how much more of my time will I give to what already hurt me once? This does not mean they forgive easily or trust blindly. It means they stop letting the offender live rent-free in the most sacred room of their mind. They may set boundaries. They may create distance. They may never return to the old relationship. But inside, they slowly remove the poison from their own cup. They understand that anger can be useful for a moment when it shows where dignity was violated. But anger becomes dangerous when it becomes a permanent identity. The rare senior uses anger as a messenger, not as a master. Only 1 in 100 seniors still protect their attention. This may sound simple, but it is one of the hardest disciplines in modern life. The world wants the mind of older people just as much as it wants the mind of the young. If you give your attention to everything, you will have nothing left for peace. The rare senior knows this. They do not let every headline become their heartbeat. They do not let every phone call become an emergency. They do not let every relative's conflict become their assignment. They choose where the mind rests. Attention is life in its smallest pieces. Every minute spent in needless agitation is a minute not spent in prayer, gratitude, reading, walking, listening, creating, resting, or loving. After 60 or 70, this becomes more serious. Time is still available, but it no longer feels endless. The rare senior does not waste it trying to control storms that are not theirs. They may stay informed, but not consumed. They may care, but not drown. They may listen, but not absorb every burden as if peace were a duty they must surrender. There is another habit that sets the rare senior apart. They keep learning from younger people without surrendering their own wisdom. Many elders fall into one of two traps. Some dismiss the young completely, as if every new idea is foolish. Others feel intimidated by youth and begin doubting everything they know. The rare senior chooses a wiser path. They remain teachable without becoming insecure. They can ask a grandchild for help with technology without feeling humiliated. They can listen to a new perspective without throwing away their lived experience. They can say, "I did not know that," and still remain dignified. This humility keeps the soul alive. A person who cannot learn begins shrinking, even if they are physically active. The rare senior understands that learning is not a young person's privilege. It is a human duty until the end. It does not have to be dramatic. The point is not achievement. The point is aliveness. A curious mind is harder for despair to conquer. Only 1 in 100 seniors also learn how to be alone without becoming abandoned inside. This may be the most difficult lesson. Old age often brings more solitude than expected. Children become busy. Friends move away or pass away. A spouse may be gone. The house may become quiet in a way that feels almost physical. Many people fill that quiet with television, complaining, fear, or dependence on anyone who offers attention. But the rare senior slowly turns solitude into companionship with the self. They stop treating silence as proof that they are unwanted. They begin using it as a place where the soul can breathe. This does not mean they reject people. They still value friendship, conversation, family, and warmth. But they do not panic when alone. They can sit with a cup of tea and not feel worthless. They can walk slowly without needing applause. They can spend an afternoon arranging memories, writing thoughts, tending a plant, or listening to the rain without believing life has ended. Solitude becomes a mirror, and instead of running from it, they learn to look gently. They make peace with their own company, and that peace protects them from accepting poor treatment just to avoid an empty room. This is why rare seniors often have stronger boundaries. Once you are not terrified of being alone, people lose the power to control you through withdrawal. You no longer chase every call. You no longer buy affection with money. You no longer babysit beyond your health, lend beyond your peace, host beyond your strength, or explain beyond your dignity. You can love people deeply and still say no. You can miss someone and still not return to a harmful pattern. You can be kind without being available for misuse. This is not coldness. This is a healed form of love. Only 1 in 100 seniors still practice gratitude without making it sound like a performance. They do not deny pain. They simply refuse to let pain become the only witness. They can name what still remains. A morning. A meal. A memory that no longer burns. A friend who still calls. A hand that still works well enough to write. A window with light. A grandchild's laugh. A bed. A breath. The ability to choose one honest thought over one bitter one. These things may seem small to a restless mind, but to a wise one they are treasures. Gratitude after loss is not naivety. It is spiritual resistance. A grateful senior is not grateful because everything is perfect. They are grateful because they understand nothing was guaranteed. Every ordinary thing becomes more precious when you know it can change. The young often wait for dramatic joy. The wise learn to receive quiet joy. They stop demanding that life impress them before they appreciate it. They notice the cup in their hands, the chair beneath them, the old song, the familiar sky, the ability to forgive themselves a little more than yesterday. This kind of gratitude does not make life smaller. It makes the small parts of life glow. There is also a rare courage in seniors who still take responsibility for their own spirit. Many people blame age for everything they have stopped practicing. They say, "I am too old to change. I am too old to apologize. I am too old to begin again. I am too old to make peace. I am too old to learn." But often, too old is not truth. It is fear asking to retire early. The rare senior refuses this excuse. They know they may not be able to change everything, but they can change something. A word. A habit. A response. A daily rhythm. A relationship with the past. A way of speaking to themselves. Imagine being 80 and still becoming more patient. Imagine being 75 and still learning to listen. Imagine being 68 and finally setting a healthy boundary. Imagine being 90 and choosing not to let yesterday's disappointment ruin today's sunrise. This is the beauty of the rare senior. They prove that growth does not belong only to the young. As long as consciousness remains, character can still be refined. The body may slow, but the soul can continue becoming more honest, more peaceful, more humble, more free. Only 1 in 100 seniors understand that their final influence may come less from advice and more from example. Younger people may not always listen to lectures. They may roll their eyes at warnings. They may ignore stories until later. But they watch. They notice how you handle disrespect. They notice whether you complain all day or remain steady. They notice whether you apologize when wrong. They notice how you treat waiters, neighbors, grandchildren, doctors, and strangers. They notice whether your home feels peaceful or tense. They notice whether aging has made you cruel or kind. Your example may become your final quiet sermon. You may never know who remembers it. A grandchild may one day recall that you did not panic when plans changed. An adult child may remember how calmly you said no. A neighbor may remember your gentle words during their grief. Someone may remember that even with pain in your body, you still carried dignity. This is not a small legacy. Money can be spent. Property can be sold. But the memory of character can echo long after the voice is gone. Now ask yourself honestly. Are you one of the rare ones? Not perfect. Not always calm. Not free from regret. Not untouched by anger, loneliness, or fear. But still willing to look inward. Still willing to learn. Still willing to protect your peace. Still willing to choose your response. Still willing to apologize where needed and step away where necessary. Still willing to be grateful for something, even when life has not given you everything. If the answer is yes, then you are carrying a form of wealth many people never achieve. And if the answer is no, or not yet, do not be ashamed. The fact that you are hearing this message may mean the door is still open. You can begin today. Not with a dramatic transformation, but with one quiet act of inner ownership. Catch one bitter thought and question it. Refuse one unnecessary argument. Write down one thing you are grateful for. Apologize to one person if your pride has been standing in the way. Turn off one source of agitation. Take one slow walk. Say no to one request that violates your peace. Read one page. Sit in silence for 5 minutes without escaping yourself. These small actions are how the rare path begins. The world may never praise this kind of growth. It may praise youth, speed, wealth, appearance, and noise. But the deepest victories of old age are often invisible. Nobody applauds when you choose not to repeat gossip. Nobody gives an award when you forgive yourself. Nobody sees the courage it takes to wake up with pain and still speak gently. Nobody may notice when you stop feeding resentment and begin feeding peace. But your soul notices. Your body notices. The atmosphere of your home notices. The people who are sensitive enough to feel peace will notice. Here at Stoic Beacon, we believe that the rare senior is not the one who refuses to age. The rare senior is the one who ages consciously. The one who understands that every remaining day is a chance to practice wisdom. The one who does not use suffering as an excuse to become harsh. The one who does not use age as an excuse to stop growing. The one who has learned that peace is not found by controlling the entire world, but by governing the small kingdom within. Only 1 in 100 seniors may still do this, but that number does not have to include or exclude you forever. Each morning is a vote. Each response is a vote. Each boundary is a vote. Each grateful breath is a vote. Each time you choose reflection over reaction, you step onto the rare path. You may stumble. You may forget. You may have days when old anger returns, when loneliness speaks loudly, when fear makes you small. That does not remove you from the path. It simply gives you another chance to return. So do not ask only how old you are. Ask how awake you are. Ask whether your years have made you deeper or merely more defended. Ask whether your memories have become teachers or chains. Ask whether your words bring calm or carry old poison. Ask whether your silence is peaceful or resentful. Ask whether your heart is still capable of wonder. These are the questions that separate ordinary aging from conscious aging. If you are one of the rare seniors still training your mind, continue. The world needs your quiet example more than it admits. Your family may need it even when they do not thank you. Your neighbors may feel it even when they do not name it. And most importantly, your own final years need it. They need the version of you who refuses to surrender the inner life to bitterness, noise, regret, or fear. Thank you for spending this time with Stoic Beacon. May you become one of the rare ones, or remain one if you already are. May your age become not only a number of years survived, but a depth of wisdom practiced. May your mind stay teachable, your boundaries steady, your gratitude honest, your solitude peaceful, and your character stronger than anything time can take away. And when the world asks whether you are one of them, may your life answer quietly, not with boasting, but with peace.